What's up, guys? I hope you're doing well today. I hope blessings find their way to you and you're living up to your potential. I hope y'all are enjoying the holiday season and making the most of your time on this planet. Today, I'm going to be ranking all the flavors of Swisher Sweets cigarillos. I'm only including flavors I've personally tried or have experience with. So if there are any flavors left out of this video, that's why. Also, I may share a story about certain flavors. I thought about making this a multi-part video. However, it just seems like it's a better idea to just have a longer video. I will not be confirming whether the stories in this video are true or are hypothetical, for obvious reasons. If the topic bothers you, or you don't feel comfortable with the topics discussed in this video, you're welcome to leave, but I appreciate you stopping by. As a disclaimer, this is not a paid advertisement. The order I put the flavors in is somewhat by their relation to each other, starting with more tobacco-heavy flavors, then fruity flavors, then sugary flavors, then miscellaneous. To break down the tier system, S tier is my favorite. I always have and will go to these flavors when buying Swisher Sweets. A tier is also very good, but not quite my all-time favorite. I still love A tier flavors. B tier is what I really enjoy and may pick up from time to time if I want to switch things up, but I wouldn't say I would exclusively smoke these. C tier is I've enjoyed them, but I would rather take any other flavor above on the list before this particular flavor. D tier is the same as C tier. E tier is just flavors I don't ever buy, but if I only had these flavors, I would roll up or enjoy these if I really had to. These flavors have come in clutch before, but I would never seek them out intentionally. F tier is absolutely ass. I do not enjoy these flavors and they bother me. Number 1, Black Swisher Sweets. Black Sweets are unflavored cigarillos catering to the same type of people who drink black coffee and smoke a pack of Marlboro Blacks right after waking up in the morning. Since I strongly prefer flavored cigarillos, I can't say I enjoy Black Sweets much. It would be really cool if Swisher came out with a Black Licorice limited edition flavor though. I think they could really do a good job on that. Black Sweets don't make much of a case for themselves. I mean, why smoke or risk inhaling cancer-causing chemicals if they don't have any flavor? If you're really craving an unflavored cigar, why go with Black Swisher Sweets? Go find yourself a higher quality cigar if you're looking for the tobacco flavor. Get yourself a Cuban. Get yourself a hand-rolled Cuban, if that's really what you want. I could see people who enjoy cigarettes really enjoying them, but I just don't. I feel like the people who buy these or enjoy these have something they're trying to forget or repress, but I really don't know. I personally very rarely encountered Black Sweets and definitely never picked them up myself. I'll just put them in the E tier, mostly due to the fact that they aren't flavored, yet they're still considered sweets. If you really had no other way to smoke though, they may be clutch, so not absolutely useless I guess, just useless to me. I can't put them at the absolute bottom, because I would prefer unflavored sweets to a couple of the flavors on my list. Number 2, Diamond Swisher Sweets. Diamond Sweets are also going in E tier. They're clutch if you want a blunt and don't have anything else to roll with, but other than that, there's not much to be said about them. They're practically the same as Black Sweets, but maybe a tiny bit more flavor. They're considered to have a sweet tobacco taste, however the whole sweet taste is a very relative description. They are not sweet in the same way you would describe literally anything else as being sweet. They're not sugary sweet or anything like that. I don't know if they're a different kind of leaf variety or anything, but I kinda doubt it. They've come in clutch before, however, they're still just not ideal. E tier. Number 3, Original Swisher Sweets. Original Sweets have a slightly more sweet taste, and they make your lips taste nice, which is a step in the right direction. But once again, the sweetness is relative to completely unflavored cigars. It takes a very refined palate to actually tell the difference between Original Sweets and Black Sweets. They're really the same thing in different packaging. Picking between the two is basically an illusionary choice. E tier. Number 4, Silver Swisher Sweets. Silver Sweets are the same thing as Black Sweets, unflavored and very basic. I don't understand the appeal, it just seems like the risk of cancer is not worth the reward in comparison to the better experience that you have with flavored sweets. I only ever used sweets to intentionally add flavor to my smoking experience. However, I've actually had several people over time tell me they prefer silver sweets when smoking blunts because they want to taste their weed more than they want to taste the flavor of the wrap. I used to smoke regularly with someone who really enjoyed silver sweets for that reason. And to be fair, at the time, we had pretty great bud, and it did taste quite good smoked through silver sweets. I understand the thought process, but in reality, you still taste the weed through flavored sweets. Plus, you smell heavenly when you smoke flavored sweets. The guy who insisted on smoking silvers was also stubborn, so I didn't smoke with him often. Silver sweets also go in E tier. Number 5, Banana Smash Sweets. Moving on to the more fruity flavors, Banana Smash is a fantastic flavor. It's a delicious mix of banana and strawberry, and I always enjoyed blunts rolled in Banana Smash Sweets. Swisher Sweets are meant to be flavored, in my opinion. And if you enjoy sugary, banana strawberry flavored things, these are a fantastic choice. When I was in high school, I would often hang out with friends after school or meet up in the middle of the night to smoke Banana Smash blunts around our city. Before COVID, most gas stations were open 24/7. My friends and I would head up to hang out with the graveyard shift guys and frequently just chill there on summer nights. One particular night, I was hanging there with the guy working. It was basically dead, maybe around 2:30 in the morning. I had been the only guy to come in there for a good 2 hours, which was somewhat uncommon. I was just chilling, talking shit with the guy working. This was very close to the time when I was about to drop out of high school, so I wasn't even really showing up to school much at this point. I think it was in March or April, just a quiet Thursday night. I wasn't a thief, but people my age were, so it took time to build trust with the guys working there, since they figured guys my age were trying to steal shit. I had known this guy for about 3 weeks or so, and I had been in with friends around a dozen times when he was working. I had friends who at the time could pick up sweets, since the legal age to buy tobacco products was still 18. Ah, the glory days. I was literally 17 when the law changed the legal age from 18 to 21, which absolutely sucked. So I had to get people to buy them for me. Since it was so quiet, I mustered up the nerve to ask him if I could pick up a pack of sweets. I told him if he wanted, I would roll a blunt and smoke it with him, since I had nothing better to do. He thought about it for a minute, and since the conversation had been good, and I clearly wasn't just going to leave with the sweets, he gave me an ultimatum. We were in the front of the store, and he was basically making sure I wasn't stealing the whole time, but also just doing some basic work with the cash register. He hadn't gone to the bathroom since I had gotten there, so he said he'd make me a deal. If I would stock up some drinks in the cooler, he would hook me up with a pack of sweets of his choice. I told him it's a deal, and we walked to the back of the store. He handed me a cart of energy drinks, and I went to stock them while he went to the bathroom. After doing that, he came back and asked me to face every drink in the cooler, I guess for and giggles, but it did make things look better. I did that for like 5 to 10 minutes, which was actually enjoyable to do. Facing the drinks in the cooler meant just turning the logo to face outwards. After he checked my work, he handed me a pack of Banana Smash Swisher Sweets and told me to stash them in my hoodie pocket. I went out to my car to roll a blunt using the lights from the windows in the store. After splitting the sweet, pouring the guts out into an empty cup, I broke up the green crack and filled it up. I always closed it up with my lips and used a lighter to sanitize and seal it. Still, no one had stopped by. The place was dead. It was about 3:15 in the morning. I walked back in, and he told me I took longer than he thought I would. Nonetheless, I showed him the Dynamite rolled. I figured he would want to smoke outside, but instead, he asked me to follow him. I followed him into the back of the store, thinking we would head out back near the car wash. Instead, he just stopped us in the middle of the camera room, grabbed the blunt, and sparked up. It was badass. We smoked the blunt standing right inside the gas station manager's office, in the middle of the night. A few minutes later, just as we finished up the blunt, a cop pulled up right in front of the store. Homie told me to stay put and closed the door behind him. I don't know how, but this guy had nerves of steel. I watched through the security camera as he greeted the cop and gave him an energy drink he was trying to purchase for free. It was insane timing. One of the coolest places I've ever smoked before. I really enjoy banana smash sweets, so they're going in A tier. Number 6. Blueberry Sweets. Blueberry Sweets are one of my favorite Swisher Sweets flavors. They go with every strain I've ever tried, and I'm not alone. They rank among the most loved flavors by many people who enjoy sweets. You really just can't go wrong picking up Blueberry Sweets. The first time I ever tried them, I was with a friend from a different school. We had snuck out one particular fall night, and we were just cruising around the city. He borrowed his dad's Audi, and we were zooming down the freeway. He was ballsy, and we were heading across the city to pick up a quarter. After we picked up from the plug, he asked me if I knew how to roll good blunts. I did, and I told him if he pulled over, I would be able to roll him a fantastically fat blunt. He drove us up into a 6-story parking garage to the top level. It was awesome. No one was up there, so we had the view of the city to ourselves. We found a flat binder to roll on, and he handed me a blueberry sweet. I was enamored by the color of the packaging and how good it smelled after I tore it open. He told me to roll a super fat blunt, and he turned on music for us to bump to while I rolled it. At the time, I had only rolled a handful of blunts, but I ended up rolling a very, very good blunt. The only problem was, we couldn't find our lighter. Just as we were about to head to the gas station to grab one, I realized my lighter had fallen between the seats, and just like that, everything fell into place. We rolled the windows open, and he left the music playing. It was low-key creepy because we could barely see outside, but luckily, it would be a big feat for a beggar or thief to walk up 6 stories to get to us. We sparked up and just vibed. We were zooted by the time we finished the blunt, and we were vibing. We put the roach back in the package and headed out. I couldn't really tell you how we drove, but it was a great night. And believe it or not, that guy actually ended up being a pretty cool dude to hang out with for quite a few years. So Blueberry Sweets will always be a favorite of mine, and they belong in S tier. Number 7. Grape Sweets. Grape Sweets are tasty and go super well with strains like Granddaddy Purp. I've never had a complaint from anyone about Grape Sweets, and they're always clutch. They remind me of strong indica strains, and they're a bit smellier than blueberry. They always leave that Swisher Sweet sugary cigarillo syrup on your lips too, and I've never had a dry pack, so A tier. Number 8. Mango Sweets. Mango Sweets are extra fruity and usually make the tobacco taste very sweet. They leave a delicious cigarillo syrup on your lips, and I've noticed a lot of girls pick these up. Mango Sweets are usually better to smoke in the summertime for some reason. They just have that vacation, midday summertime vibe to them. I usually smoked them when other people provided them. They're good, but they're just not my favorite. Also, to me, they're kind of seasonal. D tier. Number 9. Peach Sweets. Peach Sweets are pretty good, just like Mango Sweets, but in my opinion, they are seasonal. They're a little weaker than the taste of mango, and I don't think I have any significant story about Peach Sweets, so we'll just put them in D tier. Number 10. Strawberry Sweets. Strawberry Sweets are pretty fire, to be honest. They're sweet and really smell and taste very sugary. This is another flavor I've found that is really popular with both men and women. I've smoked Strawberry Sweets before a number of times, but a story that comes to mind is another time I was out with friends rolling around my city. One of the boys suggested we should head down into the inner city to a park and smoke near a bunch of homeless people. This friend was crazy, but we did it anyway because we were very silly. So we headed down to the park in the middle of the night and pulled up to just this rotting shell of what used to be a decent park. It was really dead where we parked. There were no cars around, and it was definitely not a place you should ever go in the middle of the night. The guy who suggested it and drove us there was a thrill seeker, and I think he really wanted to be chased by a homeless guy or something. It was pretty funny. The whole time he was paranoid about every noise and every movement he saw in the darkness. He was always chewing on his jacket too. It was like going to a real-life haunted house. We had rolled 2 blunts before we came down, and when we got there, 2 of the 5 guys were in a deep debate about someone I didn't know, and for some reason, we sat there in the car parked with the car off for like 15 minutes before we got out of the car because they couldn't agree on something. It was pretty funny, but also pretty dangerous. We hopped out of the car and headed under this bridge with a bunch of graffiti all over it. We expected to see a bunch of needles on the ground and but surprisingly, there weren't too many. After finishing one of the blunts, we sparked the other and headed into the forest area and started climbing up these unreasonably steep hills for no real reason. Me and the boys were jumpy the whole time, and we started telling horror stories about tweakers in the forest and We got to the top of a hill and looked out at an intersection not too far away. We then saw a herd of homeless people, about a dozen or so, just chilling on the side of the road, walking around, talking to themselves and, dancing and doing what homeless people do. It was pretty funny at the time, but also sad. After that, we started to head back. When we got back to his car, we realized he had left it unlocked the whole time. Honestly, it was pretty funny to find out that the dude who was paranoid about getting robbed left his car unlocked the whole half an hour or so that we were at this very creepy spot. It was the type of area where you'd probably get robbed at knife point. But anyways, strawberry sweets are delicious, even though I hardly tied them into that story. B tier, for sure. Number 11, Tropical Fusion Sweets. Tropical Fusion Sweets are great and beloved by many people I've known. They taste like Capri Sun Pacific Cooler fruit punch pouches, if you know what that is. These also have the summer vibe to them, but it doesn't feel as strict to me as peach or mango. I've smoked a ton of these over the years. In high school, I would often leave around midnight and pick up a homie who lived near me to smoke with. He always had Tropical Fusion Sweets, so we ended up smoking a ton of Tropical Fusion blunts. This homie was also a fantastic storyteller, so I almost never minded smoking him out since his stories were always great. He was also fair though, so he smoked me out many times as well. On this particular night, we headed to a local corner of town where no pigs could find us. He rolled the blunt while we talked and listened to music. After sparking up the Tropical Fusion blunt, down the hill, we saw car lights coming towards us. It was actually really good timing since we didn't smell and we could hide the weed very, very easily. The car pulled up alongside us and rolled down the window. It was a girl who went to high school with us. We actually knew of the girl, but we didn't know her personally. She recognized us, but she was super sketched since this was the middle of the night and this was a very remote area. We told her we had a blunt and she offered to match with a few bowls. We didn't have anything better to do, so she hopped in the car and started chilling with us. We were kind of tired on this particular night, but it was cool because she was a very extroverted girl and she almost never shut up. But she also showed us some cool music and matched, so it evened out. It was easy to make fun of her because she complained about the simplest of things. It definitely made things more fun to have a third person with us though. Anyways, Tropical Fusion is a great flavor and better than peach and mango since it's just not seasonal to me. B tier. Number 12, Wild Rush Sweets. Wild Rush Sweets are basically like a combination of watermelon, cherry, strawberry, and raspberry. You could pretty much call it fruit punch if you wanted to. Definitely a yummy flavor. They're pretty good and always smoked very, very well to me. I've smoked a ton of these and they have a very summertime vibe to them as well, but once again, not an exclusive summertime vibe. I remember smoking Wild Rush Swisher Sweet blunts inside of storm shelters at apartment complexes. If you guys didn't know, storm shelters are fantastic places to smoke. It can be a hot box if it has a door, but also it may just be a concrete opening. The atmosphere is fantastic and the smell really is quite pleasant to the residents. B tier though, B tier. To be honest, B tier. Pretty good. Number 13, White Grape Sweets. White Grape Sweets are good, but I never picked them up intentionally. They claim to be half cream, half grape, but I think they left the cream part out of at least the ones that I smoked. For some reason, in my experience, these were weaker than regular grape, often were pretty dry and just kind of dried out my mouth a little more than I wanted it to. I don't know why I had such bad luck with them, but I also don't really think it was just my luck either. C tier. Number 14. Limited Edition Banana Daiquiri Swisher Sweets. I absolutely love banana daiquiri sweets. This flavor has always been strong and very, very yummy. Daiquiri is a type of rum originating from the Caribbean. I would buy these in bulk often because they were always such a good flavor. The way Swisher blends the sugary sweet banana flavor with the sugary rum taste is phenomenal. Plus the smell is fantastic. I first tried banana daiquiri sweets on a summer day at a friend's apartment. Another friend had picked me up to go pick up a half earlier in the day. We both had $50, so we combined it to get more bang for our buck, or in this case, more bud for our buck. After we picked up, we headed to a mutual friend's apartment to smoke. When we got to his complex, he asked me if I had anything to smoke with. I told him all I had was papers, but he wasn't in the mood to smoke a joint. He reached into his console and pulled out banana daiquiri Swisher Sweets. At the time, I had no idea what daiquiri meant, and we actually mispronounced it as Daiquiri. He told me they were a mix of banana and rum. It sounded delicious. We headed up into the homie's apartment. He pulled out the pack and rolled a blunt. The taste was very unique and was one of the best Swishers I have ever had. To this day, I still enjoy banana daiquiri sweets. These are fantastic and belong in S tier for me. Let me know in the comments if you guys disagree with the tier list thus far. I'd love to know your feedback. Number 15. Limited edition Cherry Dynamite Swisher Sweets. Cherry Dynamite sweets have a very strong smell of cherry out of the package, but a very smooth cherry flavor. They smell and taste a lot like Kool-Aid, but some people don't like them because many medicines are flavored as cherry, so it reminds some people of medicine. They're always fresh out of the pack and smoke very well. I would put it up higher, but I really think they belong with the other red flute flavors. If you notice, I put all the red fruity flavors in B tier so far. I still love and enjoy these flavors, but I just love others a bit more. I'm very thankful Swisher didn't make this flavor similar to red hot candies though, because inhaling or smoking cinnamon would be a huge bummer. Cherry Dynamite is B tier. Number 16. Limited edition CoCo Blue Swisher Sweets. CoCo Blue Sweets are among my absolute favorite sweets of all time. The taste and smell are refreshing and delicious. CoCo Blue Sweets are a blend of the beloved blueberry flavor with sweet, soothing coconut. The coconut makes the experience of smoking refreshing and uplifting. I've smoked these plenty of times and they consistently satisfy. I've rolled blunts with blueberry strains with CoCo Blue Sweets, and the result is always phenomenal. They blend very, very well. I will always choose these over other flavors, so CoCo Blue Sweets belong in S tier. Number 17. Cream Sweets. Cream Sweets are super delicious and the smell is intoxicating. Sugary sweet cream sweets are flavored just like real whipped cream, just like the type you get on pies or cake at restaurants. If you know what I mean, you know real whipped cream is actually thicker and sweeter than the canister whipped cream like Ready Whip. I've always enjoyed the experience of smoking cream sweets, but there are a few very similar flavors that are just a tad bit better, so the cream sweets have to go in A tier. Number 18. Chocolate Sweets. Chocolate Sweets, in my opinion, absolutely suck. The smell is off on them, the smoking is just not even enjoyable. The taste is only good on your lips, but the taste while smoking, the taste of the smoke, is far, far worse than if you were just smoking silvers or unflavored sweets. I actually witnessed someone puke after smoking a chocolate sweet. I was at a friend's house with a few people smoking and chilling. A mutual friend came over and said he'd match if he could hit the blunt. It's important to note that he had been smoking and drinking earlier before he came over. When I passed him the blunt, he hit it a few times and passed it once again. Suddenly, he started to cringe and started coughing. Through a raspy voice, he asked us what strain we were smoking, and we told him it was Gorilla Glue. We told him it was also a chocolate sweet, and before we could say anything else, the dude rolled forward and puked all over his shoes and all over the floor. It was one of the only times in my life I saw someone who was super happy and basically ecstatic 1 minute turn into a dysfunctional, sick, bummed out person the next. To be fair, Gorilla Glue is a notoriously strong strain. It's actually a strain I avoid because of the negative effects. One of the negative effects is this is one of the strains that is most likely to cause you to green out because it hits you like a train. It is a very, very strong strain of weed. But anyways, I just don't like chocolate sweets. I think they should be discontinued. I don't know who the market is for chocolate sweets, but I will personally avoid them forever. F tier. Number 19, green sweets. Green sweets are an interesting flavor of Swisher. It's actually quite hard to describe the taste, but I'll try my best to describe it. It's almost like green gumdrops, but it's not a particularly strong taste, and it's not similar to any other taste that most people would be familiar with. This is gonna sound weird, but imagine you covered a green bean in like a bunch of sugar. That's almost what green sweets taste like in a weird way. I was working a part-time job in high school as a cashier. While I was working, I found this box in the storage room filled with expired Swisher Sweets. I managed to swipe the box out of the storage room, and around the end of my shift, I made off with like 50 to 60 expired Swishers. Most of them just happened to be green sweets, and they were pretty good, but still just mid. Green sweets are D tier. Number 20. Limited edition caramel peach sticky sweets. Sticky sweets are delicious, super sugary, and just peachy enough. These sweets are always sticky, just like the name implies. I've been smoking these for a very long time, and I can confirm that these are a fantastic choice for blunts or just regular. They've been fresh every time, and the delicious cigarillo syrup that gets on your lip as you smoke for this particular flavor is quite exquisite. Definitely A tier. Number 20. Limited edition sweet cream Swisher Sweets. Sweet cream sweets are even better than cream sweets. They're just a little more sugary. Very similar to vanilla cream eclair filling in those donuts, or like vanilla cream filled donuts from Krispy Kreme. They remind me of a Russian cream backwoods quite a bit as well. The first time I ever had these, I was chilling inside the gas station around 1 a.m. on a weekday night. My friend and I were waiting to meet up with another friend who was able to buy sweets. We were going to roll 2 blunts. My friend and I were discussing which flavor we should get while drinking slushies. He brought up backwoods, but I talked him out of it because they were notoriously hard to roll and I had never seen him roll a backwoods before. I'm not a big fan of backwoods anyway. His eyes widened and he said, "Sweet cream sweets." I had never heard of them before, but my sweet tooth and my hedonistic instincts told me they may be killer. We ended up getting sweet cream sweets and rolling 2 blunts. The sweet cream sweets rolled into blunts were delicious, sweet, and smooth. S tier for sure. Number 22. Limited edition Dulce de Leche Swisher Sweets. I was hanging with some friends at a local legend's house, just chillin', passing the time. We were watching TV, drinking, and had smoked a tad bit of weed. It was one of my first times ever being at this particular house, and I was enjoying myself, just observing my surroundings. This house was old and not well kept. The owner had several cats, and there was cat everywhere. It was really a gross place, and I hardly ever went back there after this time, since it was just such a place to be. There weren't any cool artifacts or anything. It was all just junk. It was a hole. However, someone I hadn't met before showed up and walked in. I had never met this guy, but he knew who I was. He walked in with a 1/4 pound of weed in a thin plastic bag and sat down next to me. He was a very extroverted guy, somewhat egotistical, and clearly did not give a what people thought, considering he walked in to a very house that he didn't live in with a 1/4 pound of weed in a very visible thin plastic bag. He walked in and just started talking to us like he kind of owned the place, but he practically did. The owner basically allowed anything to go at this place. He didn't care about anything. I mean, he would probably honor squatters' rights. If you really wanted to live there, he probably wouldn't give a Anyways, this guy's a somewhat interesting guy and tells me he's a plug. Some of my friends were familiar with who he was, but I had no clue who he was. In the interest of forming a new patron, he offered to smoke me and the boys out. He asked us how we'd like to smoke and pulled out a pack of sweets. These were the Dulce de Leche limited edition Swisher Sweets. I didn't know these were supposedly very, very rare at the time. He said he'd been looking for them for more than 2.5 years and rolled up 2 blunts with his kush. He said he would split one with me and one with everyone else, which was really badass. It was delicious, and I'll be honest, I've only had Dulce de Leche sweets that one time in my life. I'll probably order some soon, but he was right about them being rare. I haven't seen them at any stores since that one time. If you didn't know, Dulce de Leche means sweet milk, and when sweet milk is heated, it creates caramel. So, they're limited edition caramel sweets. They were delicious, super sweet, and smoked perfectly. They were also very, very fresh. For obvious reasons, S tier. Number 23. Arctic Ice Sweets. These were also included in the box of expired Swishers I swiped from the back room of the place that I used to work. And I'll be honest, Arctic Ice Sweets absolutely suck. It's very easy to understand why they have been discontinued. They tried to blend like a spearmint with like an ice flavor or something, and it did not work out well at all. I did not like Arctic Ice in any capacity. I've had them both expired and fresh, and every time I've had them, they've been dry, they cracked, or they left a horrible feeling in your mouth or your lungs. They really tasted like antifreeze, to be quite honest, and I would not be surprised to find out that some of the chemicals in antifreeze were included in Arctic Ice Swisher Sweets. They were absolutely disgusting, and so, for obvious reasons, they're going in F tier. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm really enjoying creating content these days, and I'll be posting at least 4 times per week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel grow. Leave a comment on what you think of my Swisher Sweet tier list, and feel free to suggest anything you'd like to hear a story about, or if there's anything you want to see a tier list for, in the comment section down below. And with that being said, have a blessed and splendid day. Keep living up to your potential. Peace out.